Hi, this is John again from Excel Program Inventions. I would just like to quickly take you through our database assistant software and give you a feel for the product and show you how much time and effort you can actually save when you have to change fields in the i5 database. The first thing we need to do is define and select the fields we want to change in the database, and to do that we use menu option 1, and it's driven by files, so we need to add the files that may be impacted by the change into the file list, and we use option 1 to do that. If I specify *new, it'll add all the files in a given library. So the library I'm going to choose is SMAX400. Press enter, run in batch. I'm going to say no. And what it's done, as you can see, it's added all the physical and logical files into the project list, and I can use command key F7 and do likewise add in the display files. So once again, *new, and I've got them in the same library. Press enter, run in batch. I'm going to say no. And there you go. So basically you've added your display files in, you've added your database files in. If I just go back and now select the field or fields we want to change, I go back to the database files list and I'm going to choose SM lead, do an option 5, and for the purpose of this exercise I'm just going to pick the first field on the field list to change. It's a field called LE lead, so I select option 2 next to that, and there you go, it selected it. And that's it. We basically said we want to change field LE lead in the file SM lead. What you can see here, it's automatically also set on the change in the related logical files as well. So if I display those, you'll see it's got those selected too. Now it hasn't found any impacts in the other files yet, because we've got to work through the process, and it will actually select those as we progress. So that's it. That's basically specified the change project. So I'll do an F12 and we're back to the main menu. And now for the magic bit. The next thing we have to do is run menu option 2, which is the analytical function, which will actually search through your application source code and discover all the other field impacts in the other files that may arise from the initial field selection which we previously entered using menu option 1. So to do that, we select 2, press enter, and we add the application source files. Now the first one is QRPG source, and I've set it up in smax.ctl and give it the live object library name. It doesn't use it at this point, it's just for reference purposes, and that's added. And then let's add the QCL source file as well, so it can actually look at the override database statements and work out the program file to external disk file names. So let's add that too, and they're added. And if we just press enter, you'll then see there's a source member list, and if we just page through it, it's found a number of programs, 9 in total, that need looking at by virtue of our field selection through menu option 1. I'll just do an F2 on that. You can see it's based on our initial file selection, which was SM lead. And if I do an F12, And now the next thing we've got to do is run the database analytical function, and to do that we do F9 and then press enter to confirm, let it do its stuff. And that's completed. If I just press enter again, you can see now it's added additional programs to the list, and we have 14 selected. And if I do an F2 again, you'll see that it's also based it on additional files as well. It's added files like smlog, wasn't there before, smmisc, smname, and a couple of others. So it's gone through, searched through the application logic, and arrived at all the impacts in the other database files as well. And to show you what I mean, if I just do an F12, go back to menu option 1, you can see now it's automatically selected other files in the file list for change. And if we just have browse a couple, as you can see, it's also located the NA lead field in SM name and the one in SM note, which is what I expect, because the field I initially selected, I know it's a key field, so it's going to have a few impacts through various files. And if you do an F7 just to have a look what it's done with the display files we added, and it's selected 3 of those. And now on to menu option 3, the next step, and this is basically just going to tell it what we want to do with the selected field. So select option 3. The first field on that list, we don't really want it, so I'm going to go back into selection 1, and I'm going to turn it off, because I know it is part of the lead field, but we're not going to be expanding that. So I'll turn that off, and then I'll do an F12, and if we just go back to 3, what we're left with is basically all the lead number fields in the related files. So the current type for the field is 8 alphanumeric, so just for the point of this exercise, let's say we're going to up it to 10 alpha, and you give it a field mapping option. Star LAD left adjusts the original value into the field. You can also, there's a number of field mapping options. You can, if it's a numeric field, you can do a Z-add, or you can even specify user-defined mapping options where you actually create a snippet of code and it will convert the field according to your specifications. But in this instance, we'll just do a simple, straightforward left adjust. So it's going to be the same for all of those. And there's, if I do a F16, I can basically have it fill all those in for me. So press enter and enter again. So what we have now done is define new attributes for the selected fields, and that's menu option number 3. And now, once we've defined all the new field attributes for the selected fields, we want to go ahead and generate new DDS, modified DDS, and build the test file. So we use menu option 4 to do that. And as you can see, it's a list of all those files, and it's telling us where the live DDS source is, and what we have to do here is tell it where we want to write the new modified DDS. So I'll fill that in here. Whoops. And I've set up a library called test for the output. And then I can do an F16 here. and then an F22 to run through and generate all of that. So what it's done there is it's gone through and modified the DDS, written it to a test output source file, and it's also built the new file objects in the test output object library. So if we do an F12 on that and we do a work spool file and have a look at one of these, you can see the lead field has been increased by the 2 characters, and it will have done that for all of them. And that is menu option 4. So just to recap at this stage, we use menu option 1 to select the fields in the file or files for change and analysis. We went on to option 2, which processed and read the application to determine all the other field impacts in the database files. We did menu option 3 to tell it what the changes to the fields were we required, and then menu option 4 has now gone ahead and recreated all the files, modified the DDS with our required change, and put the test file objects in a test library for us. And now on to menu option 5, which will actually convert the data. It will read it from the original files and convert it into the modified database files output from option 4. So to run the conversion option, select 5, and as you can see, once again we've got a list of all the changed files, and it's very simple. There's no need to write programs, which would be typically the way this was approached. What the tool does is actually, under the covers, it actually generates conversion programs for you based on your conversion criteria, your field conversion criteria. So all we've got to do to convert the data is select option 3 next to each one. As you can see, it's going to write the data from the original live files into the test files. So it submits them to the job queue, and the reason it does that is because it may take some time depending on how much data are in the files. And when it's finished, if I just do an F5, the process is completed. So basically the data has been converted from the input file to the output file, and that's as simple as that. And that is menu option 5. And now on to menu option 6. This is the option that lets us work with the application changes, that is the changes to the programs and display files. So we select 6, and as you can see, those are the files source files we previously added using menu option number 2. And if I just press enter, it gives us a member list of all the source members. Now what I've done is I've set the defaults to just to display the members that require attention and have changes in them, and the way you do that is use the defaults F18, and you can see there that there is an option to only show impacted source members. So that basically allows you just to look at what needs looking at, and you don't have to wade through all the other programs. So it basically funnels down the number of programs you, the programmer, has to actually look at and verify. So what you can also do here is an F2, and as you can see, you can then also determine which programs use which files, and in effect which of those files are changing. And then how the process actually is initiated is you select one to prep a source member. So if we choose a source member, let's choose SMP 160, and we prep it. Now what the prep function does, it actually copies the live source member to a test source member in a test source file, and here I've set that to QRPG src in library test. And after I've prepped it, if I browse the member, display the member, you will see the tool has actually inserted messages in the code for me, drawing my attention to any lines that may need changing. And if we have a look at this one and browse through it, what we can see is it's automatically recalculated the internal field LE lead and extended it by 2 characters for me. And then it's highlighted other references for my attention. So all in all, this program looks ready to go. It's done what it's needed to be done, and that is extend the length of the field. And what it's done beyond that is recalculated any locations below the field definition that need recalculating. So this can save you an enormous amount of work, because what it's in effect doing is removing the tedious and laborious process of going through all the code, pinpointing the changes, the fields that need changes, recalculating locations, and so forth. So that is the program prep function. And what you would typically do is I've just picked them off one at a time. You could do it globally. So if we do an F24, there is a command key that does it. There we go, F20 prep all, so I can do that. And then basically it's gone through and it's checking all the source programs as it's copying them across to the test source file, and then once it's done that, you're ready to work with the members in a normal sort of PDM way. And after everything's prepped, you can compile everything using F22, or do it individually if you so choose. So basically the thrust of this menu option is to present you with only the source programs and source members that need changing, and then you work through them consecutively, and once that process is done, you've basically effected the change project. That the only thing left to do will be to send the changed source members and programs live, along with the converted and changed database files. And to do that, you would use menu option 7 and menu option 8. So in essence, the tool is designed to save you a great deal of time and effort in applying changes, database field changes to your RPG applications. And that's the database assisted product in a nutshell.